Hey guys, it's Katie here with Life Mundane and welcome back to my channel. Today is a different kind of topic. We are going to be having an honest homeschool mom chat. You and me talking about some things that have been a struggle for us and our family. Now I know on this channel you're used to hearing practical advice for real homeschool life, and that is what this video is going to be about. But I will tell you right now, I don't have all the answers to this particular problem. This is actually something that has been an ongoing struggle from the beginning of motherhood to current day. And I just kind of want to share with you guys a little bit of our journey and why it has been hard and what we've done that's been successful and kind of where I'm at right now. So if you guys are in for that kind of thing, then let's get started. So this is a collab with a bunch of other homeschool moms. Actually, we're all just sharing honestly something that has been laid on our heart, something that has been a struggle or a stressor for us, and just sharing with you guys kind of our thought process through that. It is good to watch these kinds of things, guys, because when we as viewers watch things on YouTube, we can tend to think that all these YouTubers have it together. They don't have struggles like we do, or their lives are just perfect. And that is not the case at all, in the least. We want to show you guys some of the real struggles that happen in our home and hopefully help and encourage you. There are lots of moms on this playlist, and I am going to drop that down in the description, but I would like to highlight Val, who is the host of this collab. She has a great channel. I've really enjoyed a lot of her videos on preschoolers, as well as many other things that she has on her channel. Go check out her link when you're done with this video.
I love Mickey.
You are wearing Mickey, aren't you? Mommy has a heart. It says, be kind. Be kind. All right, so today we are going to be talking about the struggle of balancing technology and screens with your homeschooling, with just general motherhood, both for myself and for my kids. This has been an ongoing struggle, guys. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This has been a tough thing for us. In order to understand why it's been so tough, I have to explain that my first 4 kids were born 13 months apart. There was a lot of struggle that went on during those first 4 years. Not only did I have a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a newborn, but my oldest son had just been diagnosed with high-functioning autism. My youngest daughter at the time had been diagnosed with a genetic disorder called 22q11.2 deletion syndrome, which causes a wide variation of medical complications. So we were doing therapy appointments up the wazoo, doctor's office visits, calling insurances, surgeries, so many different things at that time. And there was no sense of thriving during this period. It was 100% survival mode. It was not survival mode for a matter of days or a few weeks, but it was a matter of survival mode for about 2 years. And during that time, we got into the nasty little habit of having the screen, having the TV on pretty much constantly. So do I regret it? Yeah. But at the same time, it doesn't really help to dwell on those things that we wish we would have done differently. We have to learn from them and move on. It was a tough time. And now as a mom, I could seriously sit down and think of all the ways I could have done it differently and the things I should have done and how easy that would have been. But I know during that time, it was a real struggle. Not only did I have a lot of things going against me with just life at the time, but I also was going through a serious bout of anxiety and depression. And so I was just trying to function a normal life. I did take care of my kids. I fed them. I loved on them. I did a lot of things right that I'm glad I did. But one of the consequences is that my kids have struggled regulating screen time, and I have struggled regulating it for them over the years. Now, at that time, years ago, during that 2-year period, I felt like the TV was on almost constantly. My kids were too young to be on tablets or video games or things like that, but the TV was a huge, huge struggle. In the next several years, after that initial survival period, we tried our best to cut down or cut out on the amount of screen time in our home. We went through extreme periods where we got rid of the TV and we got rid of all digital devices and just really hunkered down. But as you can imagine, that wasn't uber practical for somebody who had relied on that for so long. But we had to find a way to be able to manage our screen time without completely throwing the baby out with the bathwater. One of the things that helped us the most with regulating our screen time was starting school and doing full-time school. When our kids got to be school age, it became easier because automatically there was a period of time throughout our day that was structured, that was taking up a good chunk of our day. And so therefore TV time couldn't really happen till afterwards. My kids were young, school didn't take all day, and we would constantly revert back to watching TV right after school. My kids did go outside, they did play, but it still was more than I wanted. Now, that's not the case. We have definitely come a long way in our journey with struggling with screens and learning how to regulate them. But we are not where I'd like to be yet. So one thing that we found was by having a checklist of items that had to be done before screen time could happen. Instead of jumping straight into regulating the screen time and putting hours and parameters around it, we were like, let's just make sure we're getting some healthy things done first. Let's replace the bad habit with a healthy habit, and then see what time's left over. So what this looked like for us was creating a summer checklist one summer, going through and encouraging our kids to do different things before any screen time. So they had to get their chores done. They had to get the minimal amount of school that we do during the summer done. They needed to go outside and play for at least 30 minutes a day. They needed to take the time to create something, whether that was to write something or draw something or build something with Legos. They needed to take the opportunity to create something. They needed to take some time for some independent reading or listening to an audiobook on one of our devices. They needed to see if there was anything they could do to help me first. They needed to come up before they had screen time and ask if I had any other tasks I'd like them to do. Maybe it would be an extra chore for the day. Maybe it would just be simply, could you read to your little sister? Whatever it was. But that just kind of allowed for, if there was something that came up that day, some days I'll say, nope, there's nothing, you're fine, you can go. And we started out with that, and that made a huge difference in our schooling, in our screen time as well. So we had homeschooling that would take up a good chunk of the day, and then they have this checklist that would take up a little bit of the day. And honestly, what I found is we had minimum time requirements, so you had to create something for at least 20 minutes. But oftentimes the kids would get sucked into that, and it draws on for much, much longer than 20 minutes. We're gonna focus on at least a minimum of this. I can't remember how long my list is, but I wanna say altogether, time-wise, it's like an hour and a half checklist that it should take them to complete it at a bare minimum. So if that happens after school and school gets done around 2, we're talking about 3 o'clock or so, let's just say at a minimum. But a lot of times they get sucked into those activities, and so they would take longer. And so that might be the TV doesn't come on till 4 or 5 or so. That has helped a lot. But it still can be hours on end a day. They can still watch TV from 3 o'clock till 8 sometimes, taking a break only for dinner and family devotions and things like that. And I hate that. I hate that so much. I know it's not good for their brains. I know there are so many better things they could be doing with their time. Thankfully, it is no longer a daily occurrence that we have to battle like the binge watching things on a daily basis, but the TV still comes on a daily basis. I would love to eventually get it to the point where screens only happen on the weekends. We currently, right now, when we introduced games on the computer, or video games as my kids call it, we were thankfully able to set up really good boundaries for that. We were able to say that video games can only be played, or games on the tablet, these are all mostly educational games, honestly, guys, but they can only be played on Fridays after school and on Saturdays after we do our big Saturday cleaning day. This considerably limits it. It also helps encourage the kids to continue through tasks they may not prefer to do. And so they would work towards that so they could have that. I would love to get it to the point where that was the only screen time, where they could have TV or they could play games on the tablet or the computer, but those were the only times. Friday after school into the evening is fine. Saturday after chores into the evening is fine, but just twice a day or just twice a week. We got a ways to go on that. We are still so much better than where we were. The idea of not having the TV coming on till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I would have killed for that when I was back where I started. So I think it's a good idea to remember where we started, to think practically about how many steps, whether your struggle is with screens and television or whether your struggle is with something else. Think about where you come from. Make practical steps, not to get exactly where you're going. Like, you want to know where you're heading and where you want to be, but taking baby steps in that direction and taking practical steps that you can actually follow through with. That is so critical to your success, is not setting yourself up by failure from trying to jump from 0 to 60. That's not what we want. So we've worked slowly over time. We're still working on perfecting the system. We are actually working in the process of putting in a technology contract with our kids. I have several friends who have done it. If you want to know a little bit more about it, definitely check out Wendy over at Plan Prep Pray. She has a great video on that. I will link that down in the description and put it up in the iCards for you guys. But she's a great video on just technology, some really good things to think through. One thing that is really, really important, and I have also struggled with this, is being sure we model it. If we want our kids off of screens, that means we need to be off screens, and that can be really, really hard when we have our phones on us all the time. And so that's something I'm working towards as the process, because I know if I want to reduce their time, I need to reduce mine. But anyway, she just has a lot of great practical advice, and she actually has a sample contract that you can get, that you can download, and you can edit it to fit you and your family. But we are actually working on putting into place something like that right now. And maybe I'll do a follow-up video on this maybe after the beginning of the year and letting you guys know how it's been going, and the steps we've been taking. But we want to put that into place. Expectations that we expect of them, how we plan to protect them, what the amount of time is if they complete these things, what the amount of time is that they are allowed to be on those devices, taking us out of the equation where it's not up to us to be the good guy or the bad guy, where they're not coming to us asking if we can do this today, but instead they know that if these certain things are done, these parameters are set, that they can just enjoy that time guilt-free. And I can enjoy that time guilt-free because I know it's been a planned, prepared, set-apart time. Anyways, this is something we are going to be trying. And yeah, you guys could be praying for us. I would super appreciate it. Again, huge progress from where we started, but definitely something that's a struggle. And I hope that you guys can be encouraged by this. Like I said, whether this is your struggle or not, just knowing that we all do struggle with things. And I hope you guys will check out the other videos down in the playlist, hear about other moms, because I think we all need to know we're not alone in this. Be sure to come back and check out my video on Saturday. I'm going to be sharing with you guys a week of meals, sharing with you guys what we have eaten all week, and being real and honest about that. Whether it's wonderful, healthy meals or it's pizza rolls for dinner, no matter what it is, we're going to show you guys a real look into what it takes to get dinner on the table as a homeschool mom throughout the week. So be sure to stick around for that, and be sure to subscribe and click the little bell notification to be notified when new videos come out. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.